Hello. Today we're going to talk about premium business email. And we're going to go through the prices, we're going to talk about what it is and what support needs to be aware of. We're going to talk about who should be using the product, who should not, where are customers going to run into problems as they go to premium business email, how can we get past those problem points. We're going to talk about what it costs, we're going to talk about how to manage it, how to set up the DNS. We're going to talk about migrating the email. We're going to talk about split domain routing. That is going to be of special interest to support. So what is it? Premium Business Email is a business class email service. It's designed for not huge customers. It's not designed for customers who want to manage all aspects of their email. It's designed for customers who don't have the time or the ability to manage their email in addition to whatever services they're providing their customers. It allows them the flexibility of managing just one or all their domains. They can have an Exchange mailbox, a web mailbox, or both. Rackspace is the provider and we are the reseller. Primary support is provided by the Managed Apps team. If you have any questions or clients who have questions that you're struggling with, pass them to the Managed Apps team. They can help. So who should be using this? People who struggle to manage an email server, for instance, because of downtimes or blacklisted IPs. People who have problems with spammers or people who are hacking into their machines. Clients who are, prone to getting compromised. They have PBE has a very strict password enforcement policy. Clients who have VIPs who want Microsoft Exchange, but they don't want to have all of their mailboxes on Microsoft Exchange. That can become a pricey proposition. So this will let them have just one or two people using that Exchange mailboxes, and the rest of them can use regular mailboxes. It allows you to mix and match Exchange and just regular mailboxes. It's designed for web professionals. Should not. People who are going to be sending more than 10,000 emails a day per address. This is a particular point. One of the terms of service points for premium business email is that you will not be using premium business email for any sort of mass mailing. That's any sort of mass mailing. So I'm only sending out a small list to a couple hundred clients is a mass mailing. We don't allow that. Are we going to tag every customer who is sending out just a couple of hundred emails a month? Probably not. They'll probably fly under the radar. They may get tagged once or twice, but strictly by the terms of service, they're not allowed to do that. Clients who are heavily reliant on automated scripts. Obviously, clients no longer have access to the machine. PBE lives on Rackspace's servers. Rackspace manages and controls those. So people who have special needs, scripts, they won't be able to use PBE, or they won't be able to use those scripts with PBE. Clients that need specially branded or customized control panels or webmail, if they need to do that, they won't be able to customize them for PBE. Deep collaboration tools, not available. People who have strict regulations like HIPAA requirements, not going to be available. People who want to be able to troll their own logs or want very granular filtering controls. PBE has an excellent filter control because of the volume of email they use. They have Bayesian filters that rely on large data sets to identify spam. And there's not a lot of control points for those filters. Rackspace manages those. We can identify you have a false flag, but that's as far as our control goes, and that's something that we have to actually contact support about. So why would you do it? Email servers are complicated. It's very uncomfortable. It's very unpleasant to manage an email server. Keeping up with security, monitoring for malicious activity, failed deliveries, all those things make managing mail a real pain. In addition, you have the server load. Mail is constantly running. There is no, downtime for mail, and people will tolerate little or no downtime for mail. So maintaining that service on your server takes away from its capacity to do other work. It's very cost effective compared to Office 365 or Google Apps. We're charging our customers about $1 a mailbox. I believe that they cost us as little as 60, 70 cents a mailbox. Having the ability to have unlimited email is great on a VPS. However, as the mail goes up, the complexity of managing it rises as well. We've got simple control panels that lets customers actually parcel out some of those admin duties to their own customers. So they don't have to take on the role of managing all of the email for all of the domains. Where are people going to run into problems? So they're going to run into problems when they are moving email, because that is a pain. Users don't like it when things change. Customers don't want to pay for mail. They can't get to their logs. The spam system is great, but they can't do much in terms of tuning it up. They can whitelist and they can blacklist, but that is about as far as their controls go. How do we get past this? So we do have a self-migration tool. If they go to the website liquidweb.selfmigration.com, that will assist them in migration. Let me talk about that for just a moment. We are using at this point in time BitTitan to do those migrations. BitTitan, when it succeeds, BitTitan is excellent. It will move the mail without any problem. When it fails, it's very problematic, and it does tend to fail if you have IMAP mailboxes that are excessively complex. So if people have a large, complicated structure of directories, if they're using their mail to manage their own workflow and they have directories that have subdirectories or complex directories or things like that, that will cause problems as they do that migration. Our migration team will also do these email migrations for them. That can help for people who have those kind of complexities. Training users, we have a website that they can go to, help.emailsrvr.com, and you will see that domain name, emailsrvr.com, over and over. We can send customers there. They'll be able to log in, and it will provide them information on how to configure their clients, their mobile devices. It's an excellent service. It actually will go so far as just providing you with a small download, which you can then double-click, and it will configure many email clients, depending on the client, depending on what you need set up. DNS. Obviously, we can help people set up DNS. There's an excellent DNS document that you can find if you go into Help, search for PBE DNS, and you'll be able to find that document. It has everything that you need to do for setting up DNS for PBE. It's an excellent document. Even though customers don't like to pay for this is a very inexpensive product. We can grab logs when people need them. So it's just that there will be a time delay as we get them from Rackspace. So what does this cost? PBE costs $10 for the account, and that's $10 every month. In addition, there's a charge per mailbox. Basic costs $1 a mailbox. Plus costs $3 a mailbox. Exchange costs $10 a mailbox. We no longer charge for holding the domain. So you can set up the domain. If there are no mailboxes in it, we will not charge you to reserve that domain anymore. This is what you can get from Premium Business Email. 25 gigs worth of storage, 50 meg attachments per message. If you have Outlook, there's an auto setup. There's an anti-spam, antivirus filtering. Oh, those are all excellent. The Plus service, you get everything in Basic Plus. You get mobile sync for contacts and calendars. You get a 30 gig cloud drive storage. You have online document and spreadsheet editing. And then the Microsoft Exchange, you get 100 gigabyte storage, anti-spam, antivirus. You've got ActiveLink. You've got Outlook web access, 50 meg attachments, again, public folders and calendars, Active Directory. These are all things that Microsoft Exchange people will be looking for. Where can I find it? So PBE can be found in the Domains section of the Manage panel. You're going to click on Domains, and then you're going to look for the Business Email tab. In that tab, you'll be able to tell how many mailboxes they have active. In this case, we can see that there's only 2 standard mailboxes available. You can also see the domains that they have. In this case, we can see that the domain We Buy Things has 2 standard mailboxes in it. This is where you can add a domain. Once you've done that, you can go into the email control panel and add mailboxes and manage the actual email mailboxes on the domain. Technicians can also log in through here using the pass-through. However, note that this email control panel that the customer sees does not have all of the functionality that the admin email users will have. Setting up DNS, there's an excellent help document, as I mentioned earlier. If you just search for DNS and PBE, you'll find it. It goes through everything that you need to do to set up DNS for Premium Business Email. Ensure before you do that all of your mailboxes have been created. Otherwise, you will get bounced and lost mail. As I mentioned earlier, we are using BitTitan. As I mentioned earlier, this has been problematic as it fails IMAP migrations. We are working on a new mail migration tool, and there's hopes that it's going to be available very soon. If you need to move for some reason from PBE back to cPanel, there is a tool under cPanel. Go to Webmail, look for Horde with an E. That will let you move from PBE back to a cPanel account. Okay, so let's talk about split domain routing. Split domain routing is problematic, and a lot of people just kind of recoil in horror when they hear about this. Basically, what it allows you to do is have mailboxes in one domain spread out over multiple servers. So in this case, the standard configuration should be, I want to have my mailboxes start, my split domain routing start on the PBE side, meaning PBE is going to be the first person who gets hold of the mail. They will compare the email address against whatever they have locally. If it's available, they will deliver it. If it is not, they will forward it on to the next server. That would be your stock configuration, and within the PBE panel, you can configure that. Why would you set this up? Well, let's say you've got 500 mailboxes, you've got a large number of mailboxes that you need to move across, and you might do this so that you don't have one day when you're trying to migrate all the mailboxes and people are not able to get into their mail and mail is not getting delivered. Instead, you can migrate a smaller number of mailboxes over time and allow the other mailboxes to continue on until you have gotten to them. Another configuration might be if you've got one person who wants the exchange access, but you don't want to do $10 a mailbox for everyone. In that situation, we generally would prefer that they move them all to PBE, just have the lesser mailboxes be normal mailboxes and the one person be the standard exchange, but they may not choose to do that. In that situation, they might have a split domain routing setup. So why do we get a little itchy about this? Because obviously it adds configuration overhead, it makes things more complicated. We're not happy about that. There is a help document that covers split domain routing. Be aware that that document discusses setting up the converse situation, where the cPanel server is the primary, meaning that's where all the email goes. And if it is not found on the cPanel server, then it is delivered to PBE. We kind of don't encourage that, but it certainly can happen. So what does this mean to you? This means that as you're coming in, you've got a customer who's got a mail issue, and you look at their assets and suddenly see, oh, well, you've got PBE, and shuttle them right off to the managed apps team. That might be premature. We actually kind of encourage you to do that, at least initially. The managed app team has better resources for identifying whether mail is being split domain routed or not. So they'll probably be able to tell better and faster than someone in support, but it may come back to support because the mailbox may actually be living on a cPanel server. So make sure when you have those sort of situations that you're coordinating. There have been instances where we've played tennis with a couple of customers, much to their ire, and that's not a good experience. Obviously, someone needs to take ownership of that. You don't necessarily want the managed app guys logging into your servers and picking around in their email. You don't necessarily have the tools to get in. You don't have the email credentials to get into the admin tools on the PBE side to identify what's going on. So you are going to need to coordinate on that. Let's go back a little bit to what I discussed earlier. They have an excellent spam filtering ability. Part of the reason why they do that is because they really do aggressively discourage any sort of mass mailing. They have very little tolerance for any sort of mass mailing, and that will be one of the flags that will cause a user to become disabled. They will actively disable accounts that they see any sort of malicious activity on. They have strict limits. They say 10,000 messages a day. They say 200 messages an hour will get you flagged. Truth is, it is a flexible limit. If you've gone 2 months and haven't sent any messages, and all of a sudden you start shooting 100 messages out, they will pull your tag, and you will lose access to your account. It's easy enough for even the user to go back in and turn it back on. It's just disabled. It's just designed to slow you down. But if you continue with something that looks suspicious, they will pull that tag again, and they will continue to do that. And once an account shows some signs of being tagged on a regular basis, they become even more sensitive to it. So mass mailing, really not appropriate on PBE. What I like to recommend to customers a lot of time is use a real mass mailer like MailChimp, or another excellent product is Mailgun. The nice thing about Mailgun, it's a little more complicated to set up because you are involved in configuring DNS changes. But once you've done that, Mailgun will work seamlessly. You'll continue to use your mail the way you use it. You will send mail the way you've always done it. It's just that now it's being routed through Mailgun, which will handle the mass mailing aspect. And then when it gets a non-mass mailed message, it will simply hand it back to PBE, and PBE will do what it's supposed to do. So it's a very nice solution for a lot of customers, and as long as you're sending less than 10,000 messages a month, it's a free service. So I tend to recommend that to customers. That's all I have for Premium Business Email. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to anyone on the Managed Apps team. You can always contact me. I'm Rory Hinnon. I am happy to answer any questions that I can. I am in the training department, although I used to be third shift Managed Apps technician, and I know a lot about how that stuff still works. So absolutely contact us. We're happy to answer any questions or help you out in any way. Have a good day.